This is NEGOTIATEx TV.
So how do you do it? You talked about this nationwide program that your action is, and you also work very kind of closely at the local state level. Tell us a little bit about the programs you run. You talked about 2 programs coming up this week, but how do you get people from these diverse perspectives and backgrounds to rooms or virtual rooms to talk?
Yeah, so we run different types of programs as you're suggesting, Aram, and I'll talk first about what I see as like our flagship program. And that model is a statewide program. I'll describe one, which is Uniting for Action on the Maryland Economy. And it's a program over 9 months where people come together in person and on Zoom and communicate on Slack. And they come together repeatedly. They're a cohort of 25 people across the state. White people, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic, older folks, younger folks, middle-aged folks, people who live in big cities like Baltimore, people who live in more sparsely populated counties like Allegheny and Washington, people who are conservative, people who are liberal, moderate, and so on. And what do we do when we come together? Well, essentially 4 things. One thing we do is we try to facilitate constructive dialogue, to explore different perspectives and to build skill in the process. And so we introduce a framework called the ABCs for constructive dialogue, where the A stands for ask questions to better understand their perspective, B is break down our view so they can understand our reasoning, and C is check our understanding of their point of view. And we do these exercises in small groups so that people can practice, particularly those skills of A and C, to better understand someone else's perspective on economic-related issues. Second thing we do is we try to build relationships through fun activities like truffle tasting, which is one of my favorites. Sometimes blindfolded, sometimes not. Harder to do during times of COVID, but we try to do it outside when possible. We did resume indoor activity in September in Hagerstown, Maryland, and then in October in Baltimore and in Corvallis in November. But we believe that having fun together is a way to build relationships. And if we can have fun together with people who are different from us, we can connect with them, and it supports more constructive dialogue if we are able to connect with someone as a fellow human and a fellow American. The third thing we do in our meetings is we analyze complex problems. And we do this in subgroups. So I described maybe a 25-person cohort across the state. We break that down into teams of, say, 5 people or so. And there might be a team of 5 working on mental health in the workplace. There might be another team of 5 working on immigrant entrepreneurship. There might be another team of 5 working on homeless workforce development. And we introduce a framework called the problem tree analysis. And it's a 3-step process to help people analyze complex societal issues. Step 1, define the problem. Step 2, map out the effects of that problem across economic, social, political, and environmental systems. Step 3, map out the causes of that problem across social, economic, environmental, and political systems. And we find that this is a collaborative approach where people expand their understanding of these complex issues and the interconnections among different causes and effects. And the fourth and final thing we do during our program is we provide a process for people to design an intervention. So they use that analysis to say, okay, this is a cause of lack of immigrant entrepreneurial opportunities that we think we can do something about, or this is a cause of ineffective homeless workforce development that we think we can tackle with a local organization that we are paired up with. And so we introduce the idea of a theory of change. We help the team develop a work plan, and we help them come up with measures of success, and then they go on and implement that project with a community organization that they are paired up with.
Joe, you've done this a number of times. Where do you see most audiences struggling the most with regards to those four steps? Is it with the problem tree analysis, or is it in another aspect of that where they struggle to kind of work through the problem, just maybe because of their mindset or how they tend to show up? Is there, maybe there's not a place that they struggle more than others? Maybe it's at the beginning. I don't know.
The chocolate truffle tasting in Corvallis, Oregon was quite hard. I was sure, because there were some extras and I wasn't going to let them go to waste. I thought for sure I was tasting mint chocolate, and it was like peanut butter or something. So I was just completely off. But again, that's about being overconfident in one of the challenges. No, in all seriousness, I think that there are different challenges in different steps of the process. As you know, Aram, from some of the work we've done in workshops, whether it's in Afghanistan in your case, or whether it's in the corporate context in both of our cases, it's easy for people to break down their view, right? That this is the B in our ABCs, to break down your view and share why you think the criminal justice system is unjust, or why you think small businesses should be supported more to recover from the pandemic. It's much harder to withhold your perspective and really embrace curiosity, to listen to perspectives that you might disagree with. Ask those open-ended questions, check your understanding, particularly that skill of C, because people often resort to, oh yeah, I know what you're saying, or I hear you, as opposed to, so it sounds like, Aram, what you're saying is that you think political violence is caused by a range of factors, including the toxic environment on social media and the rhetoric from our elected officials. Is that right? Am I getting your point of view? And so people struggle there. I think that people also, and it does depend on the audience. We work with college students. We work with people from different communities. I think on the problem tree analysis, sometimes working out what is a cause and what is an effect is really hard. So, for example, just to pull something out of thin air, does the lack of skill that we often bring to difficult conversations feed into the toxic environment on social media, or does the toxic environment on social media contribute to our lack of skill in engaging with different perspectives? That's just an example. And the purpose isn't to complete some master analysis where every cause and effect is perfectly depicted, but I do think the practice of thinking expansively about really complex challenges, as opposed to resorting to, oh, that complex problem has one simple cause and therefore one simple solution. I think that's an important takeaway. And the last thing I'll say is that it's really hard to design interventions, right? It's hard to agree, like you're working with these people from different backgrounds, different identity groups, different perspectives, and you're trying to agree on a set of actions to take. That's hard. It's just working collaboratively with people you're building relationships with is a challenge. And now more than ever, when we're overwhelmed with family responsibilities and community responsibilities and work responsibilities, it's hard to sustain engagement over the course of a program and implement fully what you say you're going to do. You also asked, Aram, about how do we get people from different backgrounds to participate. So I'd love to just answer that. The challenge with the type of work that we're describing is that it tends to attract a subset of the general population. And if I were to describe that, I would say it tends to attract people with more disposable time, tends to attract people who have higher levels of formal education. It tends to attract people who are a little bit older in age. It tends to attract people who lean left politically. And so if you're going to bring together a cohort that reflects the rich diversity of our country, geographically, racially, politically, ideologically, then I think you need to be really intentional about how you recruit. And so we try to do that through different types of groups, whether that's a chamber of commerce in a sparsely populated county, whether that is a group like Women of Color Advancing Peace and Security, whether that is through young people who are part of our organization who can connect with people their age. So we're thoughtful about who the messengers are about our programs. And then the other piece is we have an application process. And when people apply, we ask them to apply with someone who is different from them in a meaningful way, keeping in mind that we're trying to recruit a cohort that is diverse generationally, politically, geographically, and racially. And that does help because we can then sift through a collection of applications and invite people who contribute to diversity along the lines that we're trying to achieve with our programs.
Yeah, that would be a tough challenge for many, potentially, I think, to find somebody to co-apply with who has a very different worldview than the one we share, because we tend to isolate.
Hey, thanks for checking out this video on NEGOTIATEx TV. If you found any value at all, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon if you want to be notified of future videos, and then we also have a couple videos over here that you might be interested in checking out. If you and your small business, your team, are looking to get negotiations or leadership training, then you can head over to negotiatex.com and learn more about the coaching services we offer. Thanks, and I'll see you over in the next video.